Hello and welcome here at Ars Electronica home delivery from Deep Space 8K. My name is Sandra and today I'm going to take you with me on a tour through cultural heritage sites in our geographical neighbor in Italy. And cultural heritage, of course, means there's something worthwhile seeing. And as it is kind of hard to get there at the moment with the ongoing pandemic and all, it's a great alternative to have a chance to look at those ancient sites in another way. And here in Deep Space, we can do just that with the help of modern technology. 8K, of course, means we can show high-resolution images and videos. Here in this case, we have decided to use a slightly different technique, so-called Laserscan pictures, and also show you how this technology works a little bit. I'm going to explain what you see behind me. So the first image we have here is from a man doing his job. So we are in a very famous city, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in a moment. I'm going to put on my 3D glasses so that I can see it as well, just as you can at home. So what does this man do? Well, you see, he's holding onto a device which looks a little bit like a camera on a tripod. It is similar to a camera, but works in a totally different way. So the picture you see here has not the images, the colors you would normally see on a camera when you hold it in front of your face and take a picture. No, a laser scan is something different. A laser does shoot pictures, on the parentheses, while using laser beams. So when one photograph is taken, 1,000 laser beams are shot in every direction, 360 degrees, and whenever those lasers hit something, they are reflected back as one white dot. So that's why those images, when you combine them, look like a fluffy cloud. They're called point clouds. And when you combine them, you get 360-degree images in 3D even of a certain area. And in this area, there were like a few of those stations, and combined they have thousands of pictures. And I'm going to show you where we are now. Maybe some of you have already recognized it. Maybe you've been here before. Let's take a look at this beautiful forum here. We are in the ancient Roman city of Pompeii. It's famous, of course, for how it was destroyed in the year 79 AD, but it had a long, astonishing history even before that. First, it was a permanent settlement in the first millennia BC, and it was inhabited by various groups of people, for example, the Etruscans, the Samnites, of course the Greeks were there, and last but not least, the Romans. And they added quite a lot to the infrastructure we see around here. We know the famous forums from, for example, Rome. And of course, it was a flourishing city. It was strategically well placed, close to the sea, and also a little bit outside of the buzzing city life of Rome, you could say. So Pompeii was used by rich Romans as sort of like a summer resort. So they came here to relax, to escape the city heat and enjoy themselves, and enjoy they did. So Pompeii is quite famous for their many temples, for their alleys, for the theaters. They have 3 individual theaters. They had, of course, shows put on there. They had baths, thermal baths. We found quite a few of them, actually. A Triumph Arch, of course, was, of course, a standard of every Roman city that thought highly of itself. And it's a city of fun, so we also know a lot about it from ancient graffiti we found on Pompeii. It was well preserved thanks to the volcanic ash that swallowed the whole city in 79. So we have the most evidence of Roman graffiti to date. And as I said, they like to have fun and visit brothels. And there's a lot of explicit graffiti, which I'm not going to go into because we want to keep it PG-13 here. But let's just say we haven't changed that much over the centuries when you think about modern graffiti as well. But of course, there was not just private fun going on, there was also worship done in temples. For example, one of the famous ones, the Juno and Jupiter temples, right next to the Forum, and many, many more. There was one dedicated to Artemis, to Apollo, and of course the arts were very highly valued. So a lot of the areas you see here, a lot of the villas were painted with frescoes, for example, and mosaics, and much more. So to give you a little bit of an overview, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and turn up the light a little bit, so we can also influence how we view the city. With this Xbox controller I'm holding, I'm sort of taking us through the city and over the city in a bird view. And this is just, of course, one small part. So to cartograph a whole city, even with this new technology, is hard and takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And sometimes even different institutions work together to make this happen. This was done by the company SciArc, non-profit organization that's tasked themselves with preserving cultural heritage, and they've done so with over 200 sites already. But Pompeii, as I said, is a world-famous city, and the Swedish University of Lund had a project once there as well, where they used 3D scanning, laser scan, high-resolution photography to create and recreate an entire block of buildings. And you can also find that online even. It's a great project where you can virtually enjoy the city. And as I said before, it's not that easy to go there right now. So to see it like this, at least we can say, we can analyze the city, we can have a look at it, we can virtually stroll through it. And of course, it's not just for recreational purposes or touristy purposes. It's also, of course, for science and for conservation. So should anything happen to the city, we have the images here. We can reconstruct how it looked like, at least when the picture was taken. And with modern technology, we can go even deeper and have a look at the layers beneath, what happened, what was going on when the city was, for example, still Etruscan, and of course preserve what is already there. Yeah, it was lost in 79 AD due to a volcanic eruption. Of course, we know the story of Pompeii, everyone does, but it was unlucky for the inhabitants, of course, although many fled beforehand because there were already earthquakes going on. But for history as such, even the ones who did not make it offer great insight into how they lived back then and how they died. And in the city as such, because, like I said, such a well-preserved city from the turn of the millennium, so to say, is rare to find. Yeah, that was the first project I wanted to show you. So we are moving on quite fast now from 79 AD to the 12th century. But we're going to stay in Italy to another famous landmark. We're going to go next. Also done by the company SciArc. We're going to take a look at the famous Tower of Pisa. And it's been done in a similar fashion with Laserscan technology. Here we are. And of course, I can once again direct us wherever we want to go with the Xbox controller I'm holding. And of course, I can see how many cloud points we want to see, or if we want to see less, of course, we can make it more transparent. The construction began 1173. It's been a problem. So when they first started building it, it was of course straight, but not for long. 12 years after construction started, the tower already began to lean southeast, and construction stopped for 100 years because people were not sure how to really get this right, so to say, and make it work again. But then they decided, okay, we're going to give it another go 100 years later, and the tower with the bell tower on top was finally finished 200 years later in 1372. And as you can see, they did not quite fix the problem, because the tower has been leaning towards southeast ever since. It's due to a morass in sand. There was like a port, a sanded port, even in the time when the tower was built. And they knew it could bring some structural concerns, but they did not know that it would lean this much. So as of today, it has a tilt of almost 4 degrees, which is about 3.9 meters. So at the very top, at the bell tower, there's a pendulum in the middle, and the tower leans so much that the pendulum almost touches the wall. There have been countless tries to secure the tower, to make it stable again. Even during the Middle Ages, when it was constructed, they originally wanted to build it up to 100 meters in height. Now we have about 55 meters, and it's still leaning dangerously close to falling down. And they tried to stabilize it with tilting the different floors a little bit less than the leaning, but it didn't really work. So at the beginning, or now at the end of the 20th century, in the 90s, we tried to stabilize it with different techniques. One was to put lead bars on the other side of the tower to support the weight, but that looked kind of ugly. So the officials decided, no, that was not the way we want to do it. So they reinforced the lower structures with steel cables to support the weight. And recently, in I think it was 2000, there was a construction idea to kind of take away the morass and the earth on the other side of the tower, so northwest. So they did digs up to 5 meters in depth and removed part of the earth so that the tower could lean back in its original position. So they managed to stabilize it from almost 5.5 degrees in tilts to 4 degrees, as I said before, and it's been estimated that it will remain stable in perfect condition, so to say, if there's nothing like going on, like earthquakes or anything, for the next 300 years. So let's hope they are right. You can also visit the tower again. It's been open since 2001. And you can go on there, but not a lot of people at once, especially nowadays, which is kind of like, of course, good for the tower if there are not that many people on it, and also for a limited time only. Yeah, so different monuments, same technique to preserve them, and interesting view here we have. Of course, I can also show you different sides of the basilica, which is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, of course. And during construction work and stabilizing work here, we even found an ancient Roman road and a medieval grave. So there's a lot still to discover. And using those new technologies will give you the way to do it, basically safely and also digitally, so that everyone can enjoy it, not just the scientists. Yeah, and with this nice view, I say goodbye already, have a nice afternoon, and see you soon here at Ars Electronica. Thank you and goodbye.